First there was Glowfest, then ElecTRONica, and then the Mad Tea Party. Welcome to Daps Magic, Disney and Positive Stuff. I'm Mr. Daps, and this week we are going to journey down the rabbit hole to talk about Mad Tea Party. Before we get into all of that, though, I'd like to encourage you to take a moment to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. Also, if you take a moment and leave either a rating, a comment, a like, anything like that, that helps this get seen by other people so that we can all share our love of Disney and positive stuff together, particularly this week, the Mad Tea Party and the Mad Tea Party Band. We are going to have a blast doing this. At least I'm going to have fun with it. I hope you do too. So let's head down into the rabbit hole. This episode really came about because over the last week or two, I've had several conversations where the Mad Tea Party came up, and every time it came up, it was viewed so fondly and people had such happy memories that I thought it should be remembered a little bit more publicly, partially because so many people also don't know or remember this really awesome entertainment offering that happened in 2012. The Mad Tea Party, well, it basically let guests journey down the rabbit hole into the world of Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. And it really was the culmination of several things that came before it that I actually mentioned before. First was Glowfest. This was a giant dance party at night that took over what's Hollywood Backlot, Hollywood Backlots now, and Hollywood Boulevard. And there was lots of colors and big stand things that would stand up, and you'd see them during the day, but nothing happened until it got dark. And then everything came to life, and it was vibrant and lots of pink, I remember. And then they had glowing drinks, I think. And it really was a unique experience. But there really wasn't a story. It was just we're going to throw as much things that glow at you as we possibly can. Next came ElecTRONica. ElecTRONica kind of took some of the things they learned from Glowfest and added a story that was related to Tron Legacy to the area. And right nearby, they had the Legacy preview that was happening for the movie. And the whole area came to life to bring guests into the world of Tron. And there was a bit of a story happening, and you could go to Flynn's Arcade, and we could do an entire episode on ElecTRONica. And maybe we will if you want. Maybe I'll bring somebody in that was also there back in the day with me. But then after ElecTRONica, they continued to build on this idea of immersive entertainment that also included a story in this Hollywood Backlot area, which, oddly enough, the story will get even more if it continues to become Pandora in the future and that new attraction. But the next step for this area was the Mad Tea Party. And this opened on June 15th, 2012, and it saw guests journeying down through that rabbit hole to enter that world of Alice in Wonderland. And this wasn't the first time that Alice in Wonderland had been explored at the Disneyland Resort. Obviously, you have the attraction in Fantasyland, but there was also the characters over at Disneyland that were known and loved and still are today, whether it was Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland, Queen of Hearts, the Tweedles, and some of them could be seen almost daily at Coke Corner, Refreshment Corner, I guess you'd call it officially, but playing musical chairs. And this had been going on for quite some time, very popular, people loved it. So already there was this kind of built-in we know Alice in Wonderland's popular. What wasn't known at the time was, would this version of Alice in Wonderland be popular? This version based off of this new movie that had a very different look, feel, vibe, you name it. It was everything traditional taken and thrown on its head to become really rockin'. And so as guests went in to that area and experienced the Mad Tea Party, they got to experience so many different offerings, whether it was entertainment, whether it was the decor of the area, whether it was the drinks in the area, which, for whatever I remember, I think that was kind of controversial at the time. But the main thing that many of the fans came for was the Mad Tea Party Band. And the Mad Tea Party Band, I will admit, that was one of my favorite things that I've seen at Disney California Adventure through the years. I've had a pass since, I think, 1995. And if you were to ask me 5 entertainment highlights of Disney California Adventure, maybe even the Disneyland Resort, the Mad Tea Party Band would definitely be up there. They were upbeat. They had incredible music. They were really connecting with people where they were at and the songs they knew, you know, whether maybe it was What's My Age Again, Don't Stop Believin', Sweet Escape, Just Dance. Like there's so many great songs that they performed throughout the night. Best Day of My Life. But the band was made up of people that were representing the characters of Wonderland. And the two vocalists, the leads, were Alice and the Mad Hatter. Very appropriate. Totally made sense. The Mad Hatter looked like he could have come straight from Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton version of Alice in Wonderland. And Alice had a version that you're like, oh yeah, that's Alice, but also unlike we've ever seen her before. And then you had on bass guitar, the March Hare, who the March Hare's outfit was more of, in fact, the rest of the band's outfit were more bounds than full-on costumes. Like they weren't trying to make him into a rabbit, but they were trying to give that vibe of like, oh yeah, this is representing that. And it really was kind of in the peak of the bounding era when it was really taking off. And so this made a lot of sense. And everybody had their favorite musician in the band, I feel like. There was also, in fact, they had their favorite people that played their favorite role in the band also. But then there was also Dormouse on lead guitar, had some fantastic solos throughout the night. And that's what made this fun, is they weren't just people getting up and playing a role. There were really good musicians getting up there, and they'd be fun to watch anyway. In fact, some people still do in their other band called Hiatus. And then you had Caterpillar on keyboards and Cheshire Cat on drums. And once again, they weren't full on costumes. They were bounds that really were playing. They were giving an homage to the Alice in Wonderland movie that had just come out from Tim Burton, if I recall. And what the goal of this whole evening was, Robin Trowbridge really described it well, is creating an atmosphere or a vibe where you could kind of have that family-friendly concert that all ages could come together and enjoy this experience together. And I think it really succeeded. I can think of going there through the years, and I would have friends that were older than me. I had friends that were younger than me. And it was fun to see all of the different ages coming together. And maybe you didn't know every song, but you probably knew most of them. And the ones you didn't, the performances were so fun. They were so energetic. They were so polished that really it didn't matter, because it was going to be a good time. It was going to be a party. And this happened all of the time. Like, it was so fantastic. Every Sunday, I feel like for quite some time, a couple of years, you could find the Daps Magic team at least at one point hitting a set, maybe multiple sets, to watch the Mad Tea Party Band. But there were other things happening beyond just that show moment that happened multiple times throughout the night. I think it was about a half an hour, if I recall. So between the band performances, there was a DJ that performed, and that was the White Rabbit. And this really was kind of the glue that kept everything together, and it kept the energy up. And really, they were just keeping things moving throughout the night, and they had their ears on that kind of glowed, and I think they were in a teacup, maybe, if I recall correctly. But it really did keep things from going up and then completely down when the band wasn't playing, while people waited for them to come back. And people did disperse a little bit during the DJ set, the White Rabbit set, but the energy was still there. So they didn't really go far. That was maybe a chance to go get a drink. Maybe that was a chance to go watch another offering that was nearby called the House of Cards. And this was really cool because they were aerialists, I guess. I don't know what they're called. But they were incredible performers that really were, I think there was the Dueling Queens and the Hottest Deck in Town. And they were dance crews that were doing some incredible stuff over on the other areas of the Hollywood Backlot area. And you really just had to see that and experience it to really get it. And it's interesting as I'm speaking about this, because I'm thinking of the Hottest Deck in town and these performances. And really, they were the next step after Laserman for ElecTRONica. Like, that was kind of your sideshow thing that people would congregate around and watch. There was also the Drink Me Bar, very appropriate name for this. And this was really trying to continue the story of Alice in Wonderland through the beverages that were sold. for 21 years and older. And I will say they were very good about keeping track of that. I can remember many a Sunday night watching people try to sneak drinks to people that weren't 21, and inevitably out of nowhere security would show up and start asking the questions like, oh, do you have an ID? Are you 21? All of those not so fun things if you're that person. But for those of us that were watching, there was a bit of an amusement factor that was happening with this. And it really was one of those moments that you kind of felt bad for them, but also it's Disney, you know better. You shouldn't be doing this. And it was a lot of fun and great. It was great. There was also incredible technology. Like that was one of the things that continued to evolve through these nighttime dance parties as well, or whatever you want to call this. And we were really impressed when ElecTRONica came along. But Mad Tea Party took everything that they did electronically for ElecTRONica and made it even better, whether it was a LED screens that were used or projections or the lights. Even the sound was fantastic. And it really changed the vibe of what you felt in the day versus at night. Like it completely transformed the area. And as I think about this now, you know, I was probably in my early 30s then. And it's crazy to me to think that was probably my generation and the ones that were peripheral to that, my version of Videopolis for those that came before us. Like, I don't really remember Videopolis. Like, I knew it happened, but that was about it. I didn't live close by. Like, it wasn't something that I was going to have the option or the opportunity to really come in and do all the time, like those who experienced that. And I think that was one of the reasons this was so popular. And really, you could say it built off Videopolis because it did create that place where people could come together, have fun in a very high energy environment. And in this case, also had that Disney connection and that Disney magic, and does it in just the way that only Disney can. And that was something I think that was super special about Mad Tea Party. Like, you can go to concerts, but Disney concerts are completely different. And I think of Descendants, and I think of these newer series that have come out and movies that have come out, franchises, I guess I should say, from Disney Channel and Disney Plus. And I feel like when you go to one of those concerts, I haven't been to one, but I feel like when you go to the concerts that have followed these, that's probably similar to what, for this generation, what we were experiencing during Mad Tea Party. As with all things at Disney, the Mad Tea Party did not stay the same. It did for a while, but then they decided to play with it a little bit. And so you would see, you know, new songs maybe added in, or a new theme. Like the first theme I can remember changing was for Halloween time, and that was in 2013. And that was such a unique thing because it created a different vibe that, while it was the same, it suddenly had this kind of creepy, eerie, I don't even know what to connect it with, but it definitely, like, we're going to make it haunted. We're going to make it Halloween and scary and all of those kind of fun things without being scary, because it was Disney scary. But ahead of the start, in fact, I think it was the day of the starting of the Halloween version of this, I got to interview Robin Trowbridge. And so before we start talking about how this evolved, Mad Tea Party evolved through the years, watch this interview.
Hi, I'm Mr. Daps, and I'm here in Disney California Adventure right in front of the Mad Tea Party, and I am joined by Robin, who...
Yes.
Tell us what you do.
I am the entertainment show director for the Mad Tea Party.
Which means what?
Which means I get to be involved with, well, first getting the show on its feet, and then any seasonal theming that we do, in particular Halloween at this time of year. That's my gig, is to come up with some concepts and ideas and see what we can do to
So kind of
change
one
it
of
up.
the coolest jobs ever.
It's not a bad job, Mr. Daps.
That's fantastic.
Not a bad job.
You do have some fun things going on for Halloween.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Well, you know, we have the Mad Tea Party Band.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Tea Party Band with Mad Hatter and Alice as our singers, and Dormouse on the guitar.
Yeah.
March Hare on the bass. Cheshire Cat banging the drums. We got all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But now they've got some new repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every 3 months or so we sort of refresh things.
Mix it up a
because
little
we have
bit.
we have a few people that come back and see us from time and time
I would
again.
think it's a little bit of fun for the musicians too to get
It's
some new stuff.
always
now and then.
nice. Yeah. So we've brought in some good Halloween themed songs.
Cool.
Put them into the set. Songs that you might know, songs you might not know, but that are definitely fitting for Halloween. Mr. Daps, if you do come, you just may.
I will be here Sunday night, so
You better get your time warp ready. I'm just saying. I don't want to ruin anything, but you might want to practice.
I'm
the
not time
warp.
warped enough already, or
You're
Okay.
pretty. Yes.
maybe too much.
Yeah. It's gonna be loosen up everything. It gets
Okay,
a lot.
no
It's a lot
time.
of fun.
Got it.
But yeah, so we got a lot going on with the Mad Tea Party as far as Halloween. Got little surprises around
Mm-hmm.
every corner, but definitely new music for the band. The White Rabbit DJ spinning a whole bunch of new crazy things. Sound effects throughout the joint. The dancers are hottest deck in town. They've got a
Fantastic.
new routine. Halloween. You don't want to miss that. It is outrageous. It's fantastic. Still got the Mad Arcade. Still got face painting. Still got our flamingos on the still. Still got projections on the wall. All new projections on the area.
And it's
So now we're-
amazing how it completely changes everything right here. You walk in and
Yeah.
it's a different world than what we see right now.
Yeah, we like to think it's a very it's a very, what am I looking for?
Immersive?
It's very immersive, and it's very tight. It's very comfortable, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to kind of transport you. Once you take the journey through the rabbit hole, we like to drop you into a whole
You're
world that you
in
just didn't expect.
That wonderland of music. And,
Yes.
And exciting. So, what's your favorite part?
My favorite. I get asked that a lot.
It's a good question.
No,
You're-
but I
you're
can't.
excited about
I
this.
can't back away from, as much as I love everything that we've done. I love every part of this
Mm-hmm.
show. I think everything has its place, has its offer. It's fantastic. That Mad Tea Party band is unbelievable.
That's my favorite, too.
There's nothing for me better than live music in an outdoor venue. I just think that is incredible. What we've been able to do with them by theming them and giving them the characters and really dress them up, giving them the hottest songs that you want to play, that I think appeals to everybody.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the moms, the dads, the kids. We have kids on shoulders for 3 hours just watching the band. So I like what that does for the Mad Tea Party.
And it really is a fun feel as you walk in and
I
you
hope
see the
so.
band playing, and it really is a family-friendly concert that's pretty much every night, it seams like.
Well, we
And,
do it every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday
Friday, Saturday,
now.
Sunday.
Yeah, so when we get to the holidays, we extend to 7 days. But right now, we're 3 days just on the weekends, and we're having a good time.
Now, if they want a really good spot, do you happen to know how early they should show up?
Let's see. Good
Stumped
question.
ya.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. I want to give you the best answer. I mean, ultimately, it's either 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending on when we start. You know, if you want to experience the whole show, then you want to experience the journey through the rabbit hole, and then you make your way to the band, which happens immediately after the rabbit hole opens. But if you happen to be here a little early and you're in the party, you might be able to set yourself up closer. But I'll tell you what, no matter where you stand in the venue, you hear the band. You see the band. The video screens are unbelievable. You've seen them. We've got the big LED screens behind the band. We got the LED screen over at the House of Cards. No matter where you look, there is energy, there's excitement, there's goo, there's Halloween images. It's really outstanding.
Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to come back on Sunday and see everything that's going on. And
We'll share a little bit of seasonal tea.
absolutely.
Yes.
I'm a tea drinker, so
That's good.
well, thank you, Robin.
we got a special brand of tea just for
I'm
you.
looking forward to that. And come on down and see all this for Halloween time at Disneyland.
Disney California Adventure, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And I just remember having so much fun with that interview and knowing that we already loved Mad Tea Party and knowing that Halloween is becoming one of the biggest holidays at the Disneyland Resort and just anticipating what we would get to experience later that night. And it didn't disappoint. Like, the dancing was incredible because there was those show moments that were, I think, just some of the highlights of Mad Tea Party. And I remember just kind of walking away from that going, what have they done now? I can't wait to see this. And so then we got new music coming from this. We got the new look for the area. They try to make it a little bit Halloweenish with all of the spider webs and stuff like that, including on the costumes, kind of adding a zombification of it all. And then they had the new dance routines also from Hottest Deck in Town and all of that fun stuff. And it really did add to the experience. And it really was a good next step to the experience. And the Mad Tea Party went from being like, oh, this is amazing, to whatever step, turned it up to 11, I guess you could say. And that might have been, you can let me know, that might have been the pinnacle of Mad Tea Party, you know, as they went through these seasonal changes and tried different things. And but I like that one really does stand out to me. Then you fast forward, like I think it's the next year, and you have Frozen Fun coming to Disneyland Resort. So this turned Mad Tea Party into Freeze the Night, a family dance party, which was fun. It was similar to what we'd already seen, what we already experienced, but then of course you had to throw in some Frozen magic in there as well. And I think I recall this being where they would also add some snow that came down, and it really, like, it was a good addition. It wasn't my favorite addition, but it would have been my nieces and nephews. And it really did stay true to something that they started with, was making this a family friendly concert venue with live entertainment that really just blew people's mind. And it continued to do that as it moved forward. And then as 2015 came along, there was the Diamond Anniversary, Diamond Celebration at the Disneyland Resort. It celebrated its 60th anniversary. And with that, the Mad Tea Party made its triumphant return. And you had the Diamond Mad Tea Party. And that continued on for, you know, up to the beginning. I think it was spring, maybe March of 2016. And then it was gone, and everybody was sad. And it was interesting because I don't know that the Diamond version of Mad Tea Party connected the same way that the predecessors had. And I'm sure part of it was just whoever worked on different versions, you know, it changed, it evolved, it whatever. Maybe it was just me growing and evolving as well. But it was definitely one of those moments, knowing that, you know, that was the last day that was going to happen. And then knowing there wasn't going to be a Mad Tea Party anymore, and not really knowing what was going to come next. Yes, we had Paint the Night over in the other park, and we had World of Color, which great. I think it was Celebrate then. But there was something special about this little corner of Disney California Adventure that got packed full of people with incredible musicians, incredible friendships, and incredible experiences that were had throughout the years, that just hasn't been replicated since. And that's a hat tip to all those people that made this happen so many years ago, about a decade ago now. And so there's my excuse for bringing it up in this episode of Daps Magic Disney and Positive Stuff. But I think even more importantly than just the memory is there's also a legacy that continues on, and you see it in the Disney community, in a little subsect of the Disney community. And it really is that community factor. It really, you hear all the time of friendships that were made, connections that were made among Disney fans with Disney performers. You know, maybe they go see the breakout bands from Mad Tea Party playing at Knott's or at somewhere else, downtown Disney even occasionally. And there is this deep connection that was built by those who experienced this era that really is something special that, you know, a decade later, there's a couple of things, you know, there's a few highlights throughout 22 years of running Daps Magic that pop into my head that had that type of a connection between fans and other Disney fans and performers, and really brought the fandom together. And one of them is Mad Tea Party. Another one obviously would be the 50th anniversary celebration. That one, incredible, like specifically Parade of Dreams. That really did, like, those were two special times that I can think of at the Disneyland Resort where people really came together and coalesced as Disney fans and simply celebrated what was being presented in front of them. And that's increasingly more rare as it's easier to get opinions out, as it's easier to criticize, as more negativity has become the norm for fandoms. And one of the things I've always felt is that if you're a fan of something, you really should be hoping it succeeds, and you should be celebrating its wins and learning from its losses. And so I've always felt that Disney is something that we should celebrate and hope succeeds, hope gets better, and hopes that it learns from the mistakes it makes. And so when it does, because all organizations, all people, everything does make a mistake, I've always hoped that we can have critical thinking and civil conversation and discourse about it without being cruel, without being, going on personal attacks. And I really think that when you look back at the 50th, when you look back even further at the 35th, that was before I was running Daps, but when you look at some of these milestone celebrations or offerings that really brought Disney fans together, they really did showcase the best of what a fandom can be. And it also showed that it was also kind of a reflection, I guess is a better way to put it, of what can happen when Disney really pushes the boundaries of innovation, both from the way it tells the story, the technology, even the stylistic changes that it could make. There is something special that can happen. And when you connect that with the Disney magic, that's something that nobody else does. Every other company, I think, would love to have the innovation and the magic making that Disney has. And that's really because the people that do this, whether it's the Imagineers, Disney Live Entertainment, the technicians, the performers, the guest control members that were helping facilitate the environment. There was even, I remember, entertainers that would be going around, and I think their main job was basically to dress up in theme and dance along with people and help facilitate that environment and that culture that was built during that time of the Mad Tea Party. It really was a special thing. And so as we're starting to wrap this up, maybe this wasn't the most in-depth episode of Daps Magic Disney and Positive Stuff, but it is a special one, I think. And it really is special because of the memories that were made, the community that came together, the friendships that still continue on today. And so I would be curious to hear from all of you. I kind of just spouted out what I remember about Mad Tea Party and a few things that make me smile. What's your favorite memory? Did you have that moment from the Mad Tea Party that really just jumps out at you that you would like to memorialize? Maybe in the comments, maybe we'll even return to this and do a second episode on Mad Tea Party if this is something that people want, and go through some of those memories and bring on a couple of people that also were there. I can think of Angela right off the top of my head, and talk about the memories, the legacy, and the magic that was the Mad Tea Party, and why that worked and why it's still special today. I'd also be curious, did you have a favorite version of the Mad Tea Party, whether it was the Diamond Anniversary, Halloween, Frozen, whatever? Let me know in the comments, and we'll have a blast talking more about that as well as we remember Mad Tea Party together. If you'd like to talk even more about this, or maybe you'd like to chat with me or whatever, head on over to Daps HQ, which is at dapshq.com. We have threads there. We also have the ability to chat over there. And we have the ability to just continue the conversation and not be constrained by the amount of time on a video or comments underneath it. And so hopefully you will head on over there and connect with our community even more. Also, if you enjoyed this trip down the rabbit hole, please just hit that like button, share it, connect other people with these types of stories and these types of topics. And then we can continue to build this community of Disney and positive stuff and really make it the community for Disney and positive stuff in the world on the internet, and let people celebrate what we celebrate, experience what we experience, and have fun talking about these things that we have so much fun talking about, because it is more fun talking with more memories, more friends, and more community. But that is what I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip down, journey down the rabbit hole, I think is what they called it. It has been a whole lot of fun remembering this. I hope you'll head on over to dapsmagic.com, write a caption for this week's Caption of the Week. It'll be fun. It's a Mad Tea Party moment, and hopefully you enjoy it. But and share your moments in the comments below. But make it a great week, everybody. Keep kind. We'll see you in the parks.